Hey, Electric Ed here, Matter Guitar Products. This is an installation video for the Luminator 3.3 system. We're going to install it into this Fender Stratocaster. Very cool, maple neck, made in Mexico. Ash body. Very cool guitar. I believe this was like a Sweetwater special or something that they did with Fender. We're going to upgrade it with the Luminator 3.3 system and a set of Electric Ed single coils. Excited to get them in here and see what this sounds like. This guitar belongs to a longtime customer of ours, a guy by the name of Josh Ritz. He plays with a band called The Scorch. They were a local group. They do a lot of shows, I guess, in Vegas. A very great band, great artist. Be sure to check them out. You can find them on social media sites and such. So this guitar, the next step we're going to do is basically take the strings off, pull the knobs, and then pull the pickguard out, and then take all the components off and such. I'm going to skip ahead and do all that right now. We have plenty of in-depth installation videos on how to remove knobs and how to remove the components. And if you need to see how that's done, please refer to those. Okay, before we get started, very first thing you need to do is read through the instructions for both the Luminator. We got the installation instructions here and the Luminator 3.3 system. So, all right, so we got the pickguard out of the guitar. We stripped all the components off of it. As you can see, we have it's all shielded on the back, which is great. With this system, we definitely need the shielding to be across all the pots, so everything is grounded properly as well as shielded properly. And mainly because, well, here, let me pull out the Luminator system. So here we have the Luminator system. I'll open it up. Got our sticker pick pack with our wires that we'll need. We got our Luminator switch, Luminator switchboard. We have our output jack, which is a stereo jack, so we can engage the battery on and off. Then we got our pots, volume and tone pot, and then our selector switch. So let's open up the 3.3 wiring diagram. So you can see here, I got the switch, you got the board. So we're gonna mount the switch into the pickguard at this point. Let's set all this aside. So open up the switch here. The switch requires a 5/8 diameter clearance hole. So you can do that with a reamer. We demonstrate how to do this in our in-depth study or in-depth installation videos. But we're going to do, I'm going to use a drill. I have a 5/8 drill. Now I'm going to do it here. I got it hooked up to my cordless drill. It's just going to be a little quicker, a little easier. Pickguard's off the guitar. One thing I don't like to do is use power tools around a finished guitar. I just, things can go wrong very quickly. These things, this one moves at 1700 RPMs, and it's just, it binds up. You can really do damage to a guitar. So what I prefer to do when I use power tools is use them away from the guitar. And in this case, that's what I'm going to do with this pickguard, because if something does bind up, I can get a hold of it, or I can stop it, and it's not going to do no damage at all, pretty much. So, or it'd be very minimal, if any. And plus, pickguards can be replaced pretty easily. So I want to bring up my trash can. I'm just going to hold it here and grab the drill. I'm just going to drill straight down here. You notice I'm drilling down because I want the blowout to be on the other side. Always drill on the finished side through. And there we go. We got a hole there. All right. So we got some little stuff we need to get off there. We can do that. So we're going to mount the switch in now. Get all this stuff off here. Now, one thing with the Luminator switch that we've noticed since we've launched it is that the switch itself needs to be grounded. When we first got our original switches, they were grounded. Then we got the ones that are basically our prototypes rather. Then when we got our regular ones, we found that these were powder coated in black and were not grounding properly. So we started sanding the edges and stuff to make sure that this nut is actually grounding out against the switch itself. So if you have one of those early ones, you definitely want to do that. What happens if this is not grounded properly, you might hear a fluttering noise, like a and to eliminate that, this has to be done. So we want to make sure that this switch is connected to ground. So I'm going to put that through there. Looks pretty good there. Josh wanted it on the end here, so that way he wouldn't accidentally hit it when using his volume and tone controls. So we're going to take this little nut, put it on there. You know, we're just going to hand tight it, get it in there good. And, you know, it doesn't spin. Just going to hold it there. So it's on there. That's all you really need to do. It's not nothing you turn or anything, you just touch it. So, you know, one thing I notice some people do is they crank down really tight on the nuts for the pots and stuff like that. You don't have to. I mean, you just have to get it good and tight enough to where it's not going to move, especially put in pick guard screws. Just tighten it down enough to where it's going to stay in place. You tighten wood screws in the wood, typically don't back out or vibrate out. So you just there's no need to over tighten anything on a guitar. So that's mounted in there. Let's make sure, so I'm going to get my ohm meter, and I'm going to touch it to this nut here, and touch it here, and make sure that we have continuity. So, my voltometer, I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, it looks like you can see it. So, I'm just going to touch here, I'm going to touch here. And, yep, we have complete continuity, so we're good. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to install the pots and the pickups and everything else. Like I said before, we've done this many times in our other installation videos, so you can go check those out. You want to see how to do that. So when we come back, all the components will be loaded in. So we got the components in the pick guard. But first I want to, something I failed to mention before, when we drilled the 5/8 hole, I used this, it's really cool. It's a tapered drill bit that goes, you know, obviously really small to 5/8. I really like it. It cuts really well. You can get these at your hardware store. You know, they're a few dollars. And so I, you know, especially when you already have a pick guard where you have a hole in it already, this kind of just, you know, goes through, you know, got the 3/8 inch clearance, or if it's metric, you would have the 8mm clearance. So, but this is a good tool to take it from either the 8mm or the 3/8 inch to the 5/8 required for the Luminator switch. This is a good one. Or if you're going to use drill bits, I always recommend starting with the first size that won't go through the hole, and then step it up one bit at a time. Don't just go right to the 5/8 and just start drilling. I don't recommend that at all when using drill bits. Always step it up one increment at a time, and that way you'll have less issues. You know, you won't be melting the plastic or anything by trying to put too big of a bit through one time. So anyways, I got all the components mounted. Got our electric edge single coil pickups, got our Ghost 11 volume pot, our killer tone pot. Obviously we mounted the switch already. So, and then we got the switch here, our selector switch for the 3/3 system. So now let's start wiring it up. So I'm going to put the wiring diagram over here. I'm going to start with the grounds. I always like to start with the grounds just to get them done and out of the way, So we got our ground wire here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to here. I'm going to wire it into there. Get my cutters. Strip my wire. Yes, I'm old school. I like the old school wire strippers. Been using those since the, mid 80s. So I'm going to put that one there, and then I'm going to take our auxiliary ground terminal. Pretty much going to follow the same thing here. Go to here, an auxiliary ground terminal, and then there to the tone pot. So let's do that. See, I kind of bent the wire, want to go straight in. So if, just twist that wire a little bit. I'm going to make sure that terminal's all the way open too. Screw it up backwards. Got that in there. There we go, it's in there. Now I'm going to tighten these down. There we go. Now, one thing, if you're doing this, and let's say you're in a control cavity, okay? And you're like this, and it's hard to work in, do not try to wire it like that, because my theory is if you can't see the terminal, then you need to pull that component out and wire it outside of the control cavity. And we go over this in our in-depth video, installation videos, where we actually do all the wiring outside of the control cavity and then install it in. And that way you can, it makes it a little bit easier. So like right now I'm turning this whole pickguard assembly so I can see this terminal so I can put this one in here. So I have that visual of that wire going into the terminal, and I can see the correct angle. I'm not guessing where it's at. I'm just going to tighten it up. I'm going to add more to it, but I just want to hold it in place right now. So I'll do that a lot, where I'll put a wire in a terminal, even though I have plans to put other wires in there. One thing I like to do too is always install the smaller wires first. In this case, a lot of times, especially with humbuckers, it's going to be your pickup leads. So like if I had a humbucker that had like the 28 gauge wire, I'd be installing them in first. And then if I had to add any wires into it, then I'd take the heavier wire and come in, loosen the terminal, and then put it in after. So just something that I do that makes it a lot easier, especially when I'm wiring multiple wires to a terminal. Put the smaller wires in first, tighten it down, and then one by one loosen it, and put your stiffer wires in behind it. So we got that. I think I'm going to take the ground wire from here, from the Luminator switch, and I'm going to attach it to this terminal here. On a wiring diagram, I show it going to the auxiliary, but you know what? I think I'm just going to put it here. I think we're going to have enough room. We got this one here, and I think this wire, and then the tone cap, which is really a stiff wire, so I put that one in last. And then I'll go in. Actually, this will be one of the last things we install is a tone cap, because it just kind of cumbersome in the way at this point, and it doesn't really need to be in there until it can definitely be the last thing we install. So I'm going to cut that. Twist that wire. Loosen up this terminal. Kind of push down on that one, get this one in here. There it goes. All right. Actually, you know what? I don't like the way it's going in there. See that some of the wires got pushed back. So you know what? I'm going to take those. I'm going to redo that one again. I don't want those wires sticking out there. You don't want that. So I'll try that one again. There we go. That went better. I'll tighten it up. Like I said, we'll add our tone cap later. You can see there. I hope you guys can see. There we go. So, we got our switch going to volume to tone, Luminator switch to there. Switchboard does not get one. So, one thing I did notice here, on this system, we do have a jumper wire. And the wire, then we got the red wire that goes over to the tone pot. So, let's grab a red wire. So we're going to put that in right now. So I'm going to turn my board here so I can see these terminals really good. I'm just going to bend this wire here like that. Cut it. Now strip this one. There we go. A twist. And make sure these terminals are good and loose. I'll open up all the way. It's going to go right straight across. Might as well. All right. Now, sometimes I always make this mistake. I always recommend putting these little jumpers in before you mount the pot. It's just a lot easier. It's something that I make a mistake and do a lot, but this one I have plenty of room and I can see it pretty good, so it just, yeah, it went in there really nice and easy. But it's always easier to place the jumpers ahead of time. So I tightened down one. I didn't tighten down the blue one because we're going to take the red wire and we're going to take it, I'm going to take it off the blue terminal. You can take it off the blue or the red one because we got a jumper, because this is, so basically when we put a jumper in, both those terminals now are the same signal. So I'm going to take this one. Yep, had to move the wire a little bit to get it in there. We'll tighten it up. There we go. Now I'm going to take this, and we're going to go over and we're going to go, I got it wired to the 500K on a tone pot, and I'm going to keep it that way. I think it's always better to go to the 500K on the killer tone pot. I mean, you can go to the blue terminals and go with the 250K. And then you could we provide two different capacitors. We're going to use the 47 with the 500K. We'll just try something different, especially when we put the pickups in series. It's gonna noticeably get darker, so that's why I like the 500K. But I want to use the 47 microfarad cap just to give it that nice darker roll up. Just kind of split the difference between the two. So let's do that. I mean, there are really no rules. I mean, just when it comes to pop values and comes to, you know, capacitor values, it's what you think sounds best. I mean, there's what, you know, is traditionally used. And you know what else I'm going to do? There's also, what I was saying, let me finish my sentence. There's always what's traditionally done, and there's what, you know, what sounds best for your guitar and your pickup combinations. That's what the bottom line is. But one thing I want to do, right, I'm going to do something different. You see how I have the tone cap going here, one leg to ground, and then the other leg to what would be the right lug of the tone pot. And I have the wire coming off the middle lug of the volume pot across. I'm going to do something different. I'm actually going to take this wire and I'm going to put it to the left lug, and I'm going to put the tone cap to the middle. Just to give it a little bit different. So that way, it just kind of reverses how the resistor capacitor makes it a little easier to put the capacitor in too. So I'm going to do it that way. Now I've read, I don't know if it's true, but I've read that by doing it this way, with the capacitor going to this side of the resistor, which is, you know, the potentiometer has a variable resistor in there. As you turn it, you change it. So then you would have the resistor going this way, my understanding is it helps to prevent some unwanted noises when they occur. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I've read that, but I don't know. Maybe if you know more, say something in the comment section. So we got, looks like we're doing pretty good here. So we have, let's see, we got our grounds connected. We have our tone pot connected to the volume pot, so that's all done. Obviously, we'll do the output jack later. So at this point, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to wire up the pickups to the switch terminal. So I'm going to start with the bridge pickup. So I'm going to take these out of the way. All right, so I'm going to take the white is going to be the hot, and the black will be the negative. So we're going to attach the bridge pickup to the first terminal, and then the second terminal is going to be the neck white, and then we're going to take both of the blacks, which should go to ground. So let's do that right now, okay? The middle pickup is actually going to attach to the Luminator's port. So here's the bridge pickup. I'm going to put it in there. Start with all right, pull on it. Yeah, looks pretty good. I'm not going to do the ground yet. I'm going to do the neck pickup next. Do the next pickup. It's going to go to the second terminal on the Luminator. You can see here. Goes right there. Tighten that up. Now I'm going to take the blacks and I'm going to put them in this last one here. Push this wire back. These are just pushback wire we have on these electric ed pickups. So I think I got them both in there. Looks like it. Let's tighten it up. If you're having a hard time getting one in and then the other one in, what I recommend is put one in, tighten it down, make sure it's in good, and then kind of push against, when the terminal's loose like this, push against it and then loosen it up and put the other one in. So we have these two in there. Looks good. Here we go. And all these here, we're going to do these later. We'll tie wrap these all back at a later time. Right now we just want to get the wires connected. So now we have two wires that are going to connect here. They're going to connect to the Luminator board. I'm just going to connect those right now. We got an orange one and a blue one. The orange one is going to go to the third terminal, and the blue one's going to go to the fourth terminal. So let's put those on right now. So here's the orange one. There we go. Tighten that up. Pull on it, looks good. Then the blue one is going to go next, right there. And we'll tighten that one up. There we go. Now I'm not sure where I'm going to put this one yet. We have a lot of room in this control cavity. So I might probably going to stick this one right down in there with the Velcro. For some reason the Velcro's not on this one. You should have Velcro, and you just probably, I'm going to stick it right there. And then, you know what I might do is, because we got this extra here, let's see here. Yeah, maybe I'll go this way. I kind of like that. How's that look? Yeah, that looks good. Gets it out of the way. Oh yeah, that looks perfect. So we take the wires wrapped around the volume pot there. We got our sitting right there, so we'll Velcro that down there. And then we can take these wires, after I get the middle pickup hooked up, and then we can pull these back. All right, so we got the pick guard back in here. So now I think we're ready to start wiring the Luminator board. So this board is our 3.0 board. You notice it has a little resistor here. This board actually is a lot, improves battery life a lot better than the 2.0 board, which is the first one we offered for sale. And so if you have the first board, it would not have this resistor. And actually it looks more like this board here. So if you have this board, contact us right away, and we'll get you set up with this one here. And then that way you have the right board, and you greatly improve battery life for sure. So let's start with one thing I noticed on a Luminator board. We got some jumpers here. So let's take a time and put those jumpers in right now. Move this out of the way. Bring in the wiring diagram so we can see where they go. You see we got one that's going to go from this green terminal here. It's going to jumper over to here. Then these two here are jumper together as well. So I'm going to grab a little red wire there. Going to kind of get an idea where it's at right there. Cut that one, strip that back. I'm just going to take this one like we did before on the other jumper. Take it, cut it there, and strip. I kind of pull the wire through there a little bit. Yeah, it looks good. I'm going to take that, twist those, twist these. You know what? I kind of cut off a little too many wires on there. I just noticed that looks pretty darn thin. You know what? We're going to scrap that one. I don't like it. Let's try that again. Yeah, that looks better. Got some good meat on those wires. That's what you want. That one there's a little bit long. Let's trim it back a little bit. There we go. Bend that over. So this is going to be the one that's going to go right in here between this green terminal and the silver terminal there. So I'm going to put that one in first. All right. And tighten it up. I'm just going to tighten the one up because we're going to put, so the one holds it in place. That's all we want. I'm going to tighten that one up. And we're going to take this one, because this one's going to get jumpered from there to there. So I'll take that one, go just like that, put it in there, and tighten that one up. Pull on them gently. And lastly, put that one there. All right. Done deal. And there we have it. So now we have our jumpers in. All right. So you notice we got a blue and a red that go from the Luminator board to the volume pot. So let's put those on next. Here's our blue wire. The whole purpose is just get as many wires on here as possible right now while it's just free. All these wires that we can tie in later, and then that will make it a little bit easier. What are we going to do to make it easier when we wire it all together? Is that one? And we'll take the red wire, which is going to go on this very last one here. Let's twist those together there. There we go. Tighten that up. Oops, out of the frame there, apologize. Put in that last one there. All right. So now looks like we just got to hook up our middle pickup, and the white and the green come from the switch, and then the orange and the blue come from the switch terminal. So let's pull in pick guard assembly. So here we are. We're going to go this way. We're going to mount this way, probably on an angle more. So first thing I think I want to pull the pick guard and the wire diagram over here so I can see a little better. And then, so we have the middle pickup here. You can see the middle pickup goes, the white leg is going to go to this other terminal here. So I'm going to loosen that up and put that one in there. Okay. Got that one. And then the black is going to go to this second green one here. So we'll put that one in there. And that's for the second SSR. And it's going to toggle between the white and the green wires coming from the switch. That one's in there. Let's grab these. I want to leave these linked. I'm not going to cut anything right now. Actually, these here, I think I'm going to probably pull these up out of the way a little bit. I want to fish these underneath. Switch. Pull these back a little bit. There we go. Now we got the white is going to go to this silver terminal. So let's put that one in there. Let's twist these wires together a little bit. Put the white here. Got that in there. Tighten that one up. All right, then we're going to put the green on the other side. So what happens is standard mode, the middle hot is going to be connected to this green one, and then when you go to Luminator mode, it's going to go to the white one, which is going to put the middle pickup in series with the bridge and neck pickups. Pull on these. Everything's looking good. Yeah, I like it. I'm just going to hit these again. I like to do that periodically. Just when you tighten a terminal, just twist. Get your screwdriver locked in there and just twist. That's all you need to do. Don't need to push. Just twist. Okay, we don't have anything in that one yet. So the blue one from the switch is going to go. Let's twist these wires together. So we're going to put, first we're going to put the orange one on the end here, on the first terminal here. And then we'll do the blue one on the other side of the first green one. And there we go. Now all the relays are wired up. So we got everything wired up. What's nice about the 3-3 system with having this extra contact, when you go from, the way we set it up is when you go from Strat mode, which is going to be, the volume pot is going to be at 250K, And then when you go to Luminator mode and put the pickups in series, it's going to go to 500K, which should be really nice because when you put the pickup series, it's going to get real dark. It's going to get darker, I should say. It depends on your pickups. We're using L equal 5 on these, so it's not going to be horribly dark, but it gets darker. But when you take the volume pot to the 500K setting, it brightens it up, and then it makes it sound more like a humbucker. I mean, it's truly good. It's the single coils pickup, so you're always going to have that. So I'm just going to set that in there for now. So, and then let's take, it's kind of a little bit crazy here with all these wires. We could probably maybe shorten these up a little bit, but I'm not going to. I think I'm just going to leave them from now. Let's get the red and the blue wire from the switchboard wired up to the volume pot. We'll start with this red wire. It's going to go to the red terminal, which will be the 500K side. Twist those wires together. Get it into the red terminal. Right there. Looks good. And now we're going to do the blue one, which is right here. And we're going to put that one right here. And there we go. Can you see that? I think so. Sorry if I'm pulling a little bit close to me here, get out of the frame, but I think I got it there. There we go. So, you know what I might do is I think I'm going to shorten these up just a little bit, just so we can not have so much sticking out. So I'm going to do that right now. All right, so we have the board wired up, it looks like, other than feeding the power side. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to set it right here. So now it's there. Now that's there, you know what I'm going to do? I always like to hit the terminals, so I'm going to just hit the terminals one more time. I say one more time, but it'll probably be multiple times. I always like to do it just to make sure all the wires, the terminals, because when you move the wires, sometimes the terminals will loosen up a little bit, so it's always good, you know, before you're done, just to hit them again, make sure they're all good and tight. And once you know, just like soldered wire, once you stop moving it, it's fine. You know, you can take a solder wire, and if you start wiggling it back and forth, you know, it's going to break off. Matter of fact, when I take wires off, I rarely cut. I call it shake and break. I take the wire, I shake it, and it breaks right off the soldered terminal. So that's what I typically do. One thing nice about wax pushback wire is you really don't need any wire ties. It kind of just holds in place. So looks good there. So we're good here. I'm going to pull this switch terminal up a little bit. I'm just going to take my screwdriver in there and I'm going to tighten it up. I think we're good. Now, last thing we got to do now is power to the Luminator board into the Luminator switch. So let's wire the power now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the red wire, is going to go to the red terminal, and the white wire is going to go to the terminal next to it. So that's what we're going to do now. I'm going to feed these this way and come across like this just to keep the slack, because I don't want to, if I just go like this, that's just a little too short for me. So we're going to go this way like that, and I'm going to go like this, and I'm just going to cut them there. There we go. It's like it's a little slack. And I'm going to put the red wire, I'm going to put the red wire in first, which is going to go in here. You know what I'm also going to do is I'm going to actually wire in our battery clip at this point too, because we will be using a battery clip with this one. So got that one in there. Put the white one in next to it there. Tighten that one up. We are good. So I want to pull out the output jack right now. I want to test this before we put it into the guitar. So I'm going to take this red one. This red one is going to go to the output jack. So it's going to go to the control wire out, which we can actually, here I show it going to the volume pot, so we can go there, but I'm going to go, but you see this wire kind of just jumpers over. Oh, I'm sorry. So you see where we got the output jack wire going up here, and then we got this wire going here. So I'm just going to take this, and I'm going to go to this terminal here, because we only have one wire on it. It's easier to access, so those are all the same points. So I'm going to take that red wire there, loosen up that terminal, shove it in there, there it went right in there, nice. Tighten it up. All right. I'm going to take the black wire and go to a ground terminal. I'm just going to stick it right here on the auxiliary ground terminal. Okay. And then I'm going to take the battery black and connect it to the brown wire from the output jack. And what this does is this will turn everything on. So and I'm going to put it onto this dead terminal right here on the Luminator board. That's the same place we actually show it on the Luminator board, right here. So what happens is you have a battery connected here. It's not going to be hot because the red would be either the power will go through everything, but it has nowhere to go. It has to come over to the other side. If it's connected to this, so when you plug in your output jack, now the ground and this here are normally what they call this is the ring contact. Well, and so they'll be connected together with a mono jack, and then everything should power up. So I think we're good to test. So let's get a battery in here. Let's get our amplifier turned on, and let's test it out, see what's happening. We'll do this now before we put it into the guitar. So, all right, so I got the amp on. I got everything hooked up. I'm just going to double check everything real quick and just make sure, primarily here, the power, and make sure that that's wired up correctly. So it looks to be so. I got the red from the battery clip connected to the red from the Luminator switch. The white is on the second terminal. The black from the battery clip is connected to the brown wire from the output jack. Looking good there. So, and everything else here looks good. So at this point, I'm going to hook up the battery. Now the first thing I'm going to do is when I put the battery on, okay, first of all, nothing should be on. You see it's not on. I'm touching the battery. Feels cold, it's not getting warm. If you're doing like active pickups or anything, I recommend plug the battery in and touch it. Just kind of feel it. I know sometimes with battery boxes it's kind of tough, but if it starts getting hot really fast, unplug it right away. That means you have a dead short, and you definitely don't want that. So we're good there. So I'm going to flip this over. You see I got everything on. I don't have the knobs on yet. I always put the knobs on last after I get them out of the guitar, because you never know if you have to loosen these and maybe move them out of the way to wire them. And it's just a pain. You have to pull the knobs off after the fact. So knobs are like one of the last things I have to do. Oh, you know what? I did not put the tone cap in. Let's do that real quick. I'm going to do that. So I'm going to put, we're going to 500K, so I'm going to put one lead in here. I'm going to tighten it up on a red terminal. All right, looks good. And then I'm going to put the other lead, because we got two wires, black wires, into the ground terminal already. So I'm going to loosen it with the stiff wire from the tone cap in there, and I'm just going to push it in. And there we go. And once again, I always like to put the smaller wires in first, the more flimsy wires in first, and then go to the bigger, more stiffer wires. And in this case, the tone cap is, it's the most stiff. So you want to make sure that gets in there. We're good. Okay, let's flip it back over. So let's plug it in. Obviously I'm touching. See, we got, once again, I'm going to touch the battery. I hear a little hum, which is good. Battery is nice and cold. It's not getting hot at all. So let's first, yep. We're in a bridge position, got a bridge. Let's do the volume. It's working. Okay, let's do the tone. Good. Luminator switch. Yeah, it's turning. Good. So let's just check every setting. Battery's still nice and cold. It's not hot. Position 2. Bridge in middle. No neck. Position 3 should be the middle. We got a little tap there, but that's just because of the way the circuit's set up. This is not putting any sound out. We just got the middle. And then position 4 should be the middle and the neck. Yep. Nothing on the bridge. And then the neck. You're hearing a little bit of sound, and that's because the hot side, the way the circuit's designed, the hot side of the middle is actually hot all the time, but it's not connected to ground. So, and that's why we see in here, if you notice, we have this little, talks about how if you have a cover that is connected to the ground lead, you need to disconnect that. It's kind of like the same way as the full-wave mod for the Telecaster is, where the neck pickup is wired hot all the time, and this circuit's the same way. The middle pickup's wired hot all the time, and just and it's engaged by turning the ground on and off. So it's very important that if you do have a cover on it, that they are isolated. Otherwise, it'll just be, the middle pickup will just be on at all times. So good. So let's go to Luminator mode. Position 1, bridge in middle in series. Position 2 should be back in parallel. Yep. You notice how it gets darker too. Back in parallel. So it actually is going to be brighter. This setting will be brighter in Luminator mode because we're at 250K setting. Now we go to 500K, and it's going to be a little bit brighter. You know, it depends on how your amp settings, how you're going to hear it. You may not hear it at all. It depends on your ear as well. So, and then middle position on the Luminator mode is bridge and neck in series with, bridge and middle in series with the neck in parallel. Position 4 is middle and neck in series, and position 5 is neck and middle in series. Everything seems to be working fine. The battery feels good. I think we're ready to mount this into the guitar. Now, I'm not hearing much of a hum. There's a little bit of a hum. Sometimes customers contact me and say, hey, I'm getting all this hum and vibrate. Well, when it's open like this, and depending on what kind of lighting, CFL lighting is very, it creates a lot of buzz. Low voltage lighting, if you got like a lot of low voltage lighting in your house, you're probably going to hear a lot of like zzz. Right now, that's what you're going to hear. Don't be alarmed. It's just your lighting. I have pretty much all LED and just standard incandescent bulbs in the house, and not really, and plus I have good grounding, so we just have the normal single coil type hum. So let's put it in the guitar. All right, so we're going to put the output jack in now. So I'm going to put the output jacks where typically you want to get these down. You don't want them to short them out. We come with a washer, and a nut. You can just use the nut. You may have had a lock washer on yours. Sometimes with this output jack, you may not want to use that because it'll push it too far in. You may not be able to get it in. So what we're going to do is we're going to, one thing I noticed is pretty tight here, so I push these in just to bend them in a little bit so I have a little bit more room. Let's put this on. Put this nut on there. I got this neat little nut driver thing. It's pretty cool. I like it. It's plastic too. So that way if you drop it, you're not going to hurt your guitar. I always like to try to not work around the guitar with tools. So I think we should be good there. Let's wrap that back there. And let's put these, feed these through. Those wires through there. Yeah, it looks like we're gonna have to push these down that way. There we go. Looks like we're in there. Now, I think it's, I wanna make sure, before I tighten it down, screw it down, I wanna make sure that these are not touching. So these are touching. I think what I'm really pushing up against is these contacts here, but I think I'm far enough down to where these are free. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this in there, and I'm gonna grab a couple screws. I'm just gonna screw in the top one here. Now this tool here has got the thing where you push it in. Make sure it's in there. I had one time, a different one. This one's pretty good. It's by Music Nomad. It sticks in there pretty well. I had one time where I pushed it in like that. It was like the reversible. And I thought it was in, and I picked the screwdriver up, and the whole thing just fell out, and it was on the back of the guitar, and then I had a nice little star in the back of my guitar. So just a little helpful thing just to kind of remember. So I want to put this other one in too because it's popping up. I want to see, before I go any further, I'm going to put these in here. Okay, so those are in there. Make sure these are separated. Just pop it in there. If it's, sometimes you can feel it if it feels like it's pushing up against something. Because you don't want it to push up against anything. But I think we're good. Let's see if we touch these two, I should get a little, So that's a little concerning. Okay, I'm having a little bit of an issue here. See, it's good there, but when I tighten this down, then I lose it when I push down. So what's telling me that this is binding in there. So I need to figure out what's going on, and I need to get it fixed. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. So I might have to rotate this a little bit. So let's do that. So where it's not binding anymore. Go like that. Let's try that. So it's kind of like this. Let's see if that works. Sometimes it's just kind of trial and error to make sure that you get this in there right. And these can be a challenge sometimes. Sometimes these go in and it's like no problem at all. Boom. Put it in there, it works great. Other times it can be a big challenge. So let's try this again. Get these around that way. I need to make sure these wires are out of the way. Bring them this way. What's that do? Does that work? Let's see if that looks like it might work. Let's put a screw in there. And we'll put one here. All right, let's see now. Yeah, now we're good. So we have all our wires here. So let's put on our bridge ground or cavity ground. Strip these back. We're also going to hook up our ground to our output jack. So I'm going to put that one in there. I'm going to put both cavity and bridge ground in the same terminal right there. Tighten these up. All right. Take our output jack ground, put it in there. Let me twist that up a little bit, get that straightened out. Okay, get that straightened out. See, it's going to bounce back. So try to get it to where it wants to bounce in. Yep, there we go. Kind of hold it with my index, between my index finger. Tighten it up. There we go. Pull on those, look good. All right. Now we have, lastly, our output jack lead, which originally, remember right, we had it hooked up to the tone pot here. We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to try to fish it through the tone pot there. Loosen, tighten those, twist those leads together. I'm going to loosen this up. Slide it in there. There we go. Went right on in. Tighten it up. My hand's not in the way there. Pull on it. Looks good. Looks like the other one's good. I'm just going to hit all these real quick. Just put my screwdriver and just twist. Yep, looks good. I'm going to go over here. Hit all these again. Now, take the brown lead from the output jack. It's going to go to the black lead from the battery clip. Slide that one in there. So we contacted the customer, and the customer said, hey, let's, one of his other guitars, he has it in the drum cavity, as you can see here. So we did, we put the battery clip through the hole for the trim ground, bridge ground, and just kind of fed the wires through there. And as you can see now, they stick out here. So we're going to wire them to the board and put everything back together. So at this point, I think we can drop this in there. Try to get these wires in there. I'm going to have to drop the board a little bit because it'll fit, put it on an angle. Slide the pickguard underneath the neck. Look at there. I think we're good. Let me make sure there's no wires sticking out here. I think we're good there. Good here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in 2 screws. I'm going to put one right here. It seems like that's where it's really kind of tight. And I want to put my finger there to keep the screwdriver in. I'll put one over here too. Just to put pressure on these. All right. Good. I think we're good. So I just got a couple in there right now. So let's test it out. Here we have the battery clip. I'll hook up the battery. It's not getting hot at all. Nothing's lit up on this side, so that's a good sign because nothing's plugged in. Yeah, let's put the jack in, plug in here. Luminator switch lights up. Battery, I'm touching the battery right now, still feels good and cold. Yep, we're changing colors, we're good. All right, let's plug it in, see how everything's working here. So, bridge, middle, middle, neck, neck. Luminator mode, bridge and middle series, bridge and middle in parallel, bridge and middle in series with the neck in parallel, neck and middle and neck in parallel, and the neck and middle in series. Power's good, volume power's good. I think we're all good. We're going to string this up and get it all back to the customer. So that's the installation video for the Luminator 3.3 system, plus a set of electric ed single coil pickups. MadHatterGuitarProducts.com. Hear what your guitar is missing.